Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please, sir.
Your inauguration speech spoke to fuel removal, both reforms that the NSG and many others have been asking for. And let me also thank you for being the first at the presidential dialogue that the NSG held February, March, early this year. That has been the most viewed video on the NSG's website and our YouTube channel. And we're quite proud of the opportunity that gave us, and of course gave you, to speak to the private sector and Nigerians about your economic vision for the country. We are happy and encouraged with the bold steps and some of the reforms that you've taken in terms of removing the fuel subsidy, which is giving more funds and hopefully will allow the states and federal government to invest in critical sectors of the economy. We are also encouraged with the reforms aimed at harmonizing the FX rate and of course removing the subsidy and the corruption with that particular sector. We know there's a lot to be done in terms of tackling inflation, but we are aware of the various steps around food security and palliatives that the government is embarking on across the various states. We will ask and encourage that there will be a lot of transparency and accountability in the distribution of those palliatives so that they really can get them to the poor and needy Nigerians who barely need the assistance. Having said that, there are quite a number of other action steps, other reforms that we are all eager and waiting. And we are glad again that the FEC, the Executive Cabinet, has now been inaugurated. We'll be working with quite a number of our colleagues in the ministries to push some of your reforms agenda along the 8-point agenda, which in our view speaks to the critical issues affecting us as a nation, from insecurity to economic growth to job creation, and of course to an enabling environment for the private sector. And inclusion, it's also important. So we would like to work with our counterparts in the public sector to implement those urgent reforms that will bring to life the 8-point agenda of Your Excellency. But more importantly, that will also help to drive investments, be it domestic investment and of course international investment. A critical part of that will be tackling the issue of insecurity, and of course tackling and hoping to improve our crude oil production, reducing the leakages such that we can have more FX available and more revenue to the Federation. Every year, as you're aware, the Economic Summit Group organizes the National Economic Summit, and we are working with the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. They've been our co-partners to plan the Economic Summit, and it will be our honor to have you. We also hope to host you in a presidential dialogue session at the summit. That will be an opportunity for you to speak to the private sector, to expand on some of your reforms, and of course to ask for collaboration and investment from the private sector.
Mr. President, sir, we are preaching to the converted. The chairman has basically said it all. And from your vision and your commitment is to grow this economy by creating the right environment for private sector investment that will increase productivity, grow the economy, and most important of all, be inclusive, create jobs. And and thereby eliminate, significantly dent, and ultimately attempt seriously eliminate poverty that currently stalks the land. The key metric that is required for private sector investment is macroeconomic stability. Of course, we include security in there, macroeconomic stability. And you have already, as was recognized by the chairman, you have already set this country on the path towards that stability by what you have done in correcting the distortions on the fiscal side. You've reduced the huge leakage that was preventing government revenue to be anywhere near what is required. And in fact, in many ways, we have saved the country because the path which we were on was fiscally unsustainable. Not only had it threatened the government budget, it was threatening the major corporation, NNPC. So it is where we go from here that matters. And as rightly been pointed out, inflation is a key issue that has to be systematically dealt with so that investment can flow. And I think the opportunity of the summit and interaction between your ministers and the leading players in the private sector will speak to how we can get to where we need to have rapid, sustained, and inclusive growth, which is your vision for Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
Chairman of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, Olani Yusuf, before all other members here present, I say thank you very much for your patience, for your support, for your encouragement in every way possible. The twists and turns is always going to be there in any democratic journey. And the economic turbulence that we ran into is not without silver lining. We believe in the courage of bold endeavors. And it can only be driven by a serious collaboration with the private sector and the public sector. Strong adherence to accountability and transparency in every way possible. We have gone through the past. I don't look back. My horse and race is forward looking. And when you look at the country, you see how blessed we are, human and capital resources. There's so much opportunity that we can turn it into prosperity. We have abundance of knowledge. We have mineral resources untapped, undeveloped, to galvanize our economy. We have agricultural sector that is God given. What we tends to shy away from taking that gigantic steps that will result in prosperity for our people. We are not even exploiting our diversity for prosperity. At each other's throat and argue unnecessary things instead of thinking and doing for the people. That's why looking backwards is retrogressive for any reformer. Looking forward can give you on the lips that will propel you in the right direction. We need think tanks on agriculture. I don't see why Nigeria will be so blessed with greenery and good soil and not have a commodity exchange. I don't see why we have not been able to interrogate our real estate sector and I don't see how we have not used consumer credit to build purchasing power of our people and the capacity for the manufacturing sector. I don't see why. Extremely in need of thinkers and doers. And what you have to come about is teaching. Nigerian Economic Summit Group will not be, if you don't believe in being one team that can bring Nigeria to the land of promise. We must kill our elefantiasis in the economic path. We must kill it. No matter how bitter the tablet or the medication is, take it and move on to build the path for tomorrow for Nigeria. The renewable agenda is a commitment that we are not going to shy away from. When hope is gone, every other thing is out. But as long as you can relieve that hope, believe in yourself, collaborate with others, you'll find that we can all succeed together. And that's what I'm all about. You see the caricature of democracy and the problem of retired leadership in the continent, and yes, democracy is challenged, so what? It's managed by the people, only for the people. I must be by the people. So, and with that comes the freedom that must be associated with our economic opportunity. If the grass is green on my backyard, I will to expand it. I will to cultivate and turn my cows into a breeding and milking dairy farm for export and yogurt and many other things that have will multiply effect in employment and education of our people. That's what I want us to think about. And I'm here. I believe we can do it together. no one single person succeed alone. No one. So Nigeria is in our hand. I used to know the different leadership of Nigeria Economic Service Group, and it changes. The world is dynamic. The environment is dynamic as well. We are confronted with climate change and many other challenges. But here, somewhere, in the face of all this storm, in the eye of the storm, there is a quiet and peaceful corner for those who can search patiently and be determined. We will find ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.